Welcome, everyone, to Coffee and an Interview. I'm Jacqueline Pena, and I'm so excited today to have a conversation with Tanesha Moody. Great energy, great advice you're going to see, and some great tools and strategies to help us do life. So, Tanesha, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jackie. It's really a privilege to be here.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm loving this energy and the positivity that's radiating. I know our audience members, they're listening, not necessarily watching. So I hope you feel it in our conversation and you'll feel it. I promise you, you'll feel it today. Tanisha, I wanted to start with having you introduce yourself. You've had an interesting life, not a linear life, but you've had an interesting life. Tell us a little bit about yourself so that we could jump into the conversation about what we're going to talk about today, strategies, tools, and success.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you again for having me. Where I feel like I would like to start is I consider myself a multi passionate individual. So I have a lot of different things that light me up, so many different things that I've had a chance to do within my career. First, starting in professional theater as a stage manager, and then shifting into corporate event leadership roles at companies like Disney and Under Armour and Salesforce, leading and growing teams. And eventually, I wound up finding a coach for myself while I was at Salesforce. I was provided an executive coach. And we happened to figure out that the through line through all of my career experiences was actually helping and serving individuals, helping people to cross over challenges, to figure out what was most important to them. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's what I've been doing in all of my career. I've been leading people and helping them get to where they wanted to be. And the opportunity to do this full time is so fulfilling, to help people see things from a different perspective, to understand what their purpose is, to understand what their values are, what their identity is, and how to live that full out is such a privilege. But honestly, I would not be here today if I hadn't gone through what I had to go through to get there. Lots of rejections, lots of being told no, lots of going through the motions and thinking that I was living my purpose when really I was just on autopilot, adopting somebody else's expectations of what life was supposed to look like. So now that I'm stepping into this clarity of who I am, what I'm supposed to be doing, I feel like it's an obligation now for me to help other people do the same. So that's where I am right now.
Ooh, you've used so many incredible words. I take notes during the interviews, and let me tell you, you started with a term multi-passionate. Sometimes we also say multi-hyphenate. And some of us grew up in times and systems where it was believed you should stick to one passion, one career. You're only good at one thing. And the truth is that there are many of us who are not fulfilled if we're not fulfilling all of our passions or those areas that are part of our multi-hyphenate identity. So I love that you started with that career pathway and all these different things that actually are part of you. They're part of your whole.
Yes. Oh, I love how you're saying that the multi hyphenate identity really resonates with me. And that is such a disservice that we do with so many people of telling them, like, you need to just pick one thing, stick with it, and eventually you'll find fulfillment in your life. And that's when we start to think that, oh my goodness, my job is my identity, my job is my purpose, like, success is the only thing that matters. And then that success formula that you're adhering to doesn't even align with your personal success story and what it's supposed to look and feel like for you personally. So, yeah, trying to unravel this with other people is such a process. And luckily, I'm not doing it all alone. But sometimes it's like, oh my goodness, unlearning what we've been told throughout our lives is such a process. And it takes work. And not everyone wants to do it, has the time to do it, or the resources to make it come to fruition.
Yeah, and you tied it all together beautifully, right? That component, multi-hyphenate, multi-passionate to our identity and relating it to our purpose and our values. If we can get clarity on all of that and be able to live life to the fullest, not to the playbook that someone created for us, then we're able to live a more fulfilled life. And now I see why your pathway was not so linear. I got a feeling that you had a bumpy road. Tell us a little bit more that will help us understand then some of the tools and strategies you'll share with us.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for picking up on that because, yes, a bumpy road is a good way to put it. And Honestly, it probably started in my youth. Like I was a performing artist, dance, a lot of theater, even leadership roles such as student council and such, and growing up and as a child. And in those moments, you experience a lot of rejection. If you are a dancer, you might get cut from a piece. You might not get the solo. Same for in the performing arts as well. You might not win an election if you're running for student council. So all of these moments of like no and feeling like that no, that rejection was something that was personally attacking me. Like they were rejecting me personally, my essence, like who I was as a person. That started to really kind of compound as I got to be an adult. And then I would experience rejections, even like in relationships, of course, like you're dating people, things end, and now that feels like a rejection. And friendships, sometimes you're asking somebody to hang out for a happy hour. Next thing you know, they're telling you no. And of course, in my career too, I've experienced multiple layoffs, sometimes back-to-back layoffs. And some of my friends joke, like, "Are you just picking bad companies? Like, what's going on?" Um, but in theater, sometimes your contract ends, like a show closes. So there you go. That kind of feels like a no. That feels like a rejection too. Like now your show, your job is completed. And it was the layoff actually at Salesforce that really felt like the largest bump on that road there. I had landed in this opportunity that felt like it was for me. It felt like it really kind of combined a lot of the things that were really important in my career at that point. And I was just really kind of getting into the swing of things, finding my footing in this company. And I wound up being, I'm based in Maryland. I spent my time between Maryland and South Carolina, and I was based in Maryland full time at the time. And I was on site for an event for Salesforce in California. So 3,000 miles away from home. Just worked with everybody. That was my leadership team, proposing things that we were going to do for the next season, for the next events coming up. And I woke up the next morning, still in California, to an email saying that I was laid off. So imagine the shock when you're been planning this experience, working with the leadership team that probably was responsible for laying you off, and they didn't have the decency to even tell you in person. And my world kind of crumbled around me in that moment. And it felt like one of the most impactful rejections that I've ever experienced. It's like, do they not see like the value that I'm bringing to my team? Like I'm trying to build things. I'm bringing my whole self here. I'm mentoring and developing other people. So it really hurt. And of course, in that moment, after you get laid off for a company, and luckily, Salesforce is a company that did provide a severance. I was like, well, I guess I got to go figure out what my life is supposed to look like now. And I went ahead and started first in Costa Rica. I wound up in Costa Rica randomly because I was like, what
From
else did I do with this
California?
money? Well, I did have a chance to come home, cry on the couch with my cat and a pillow pet and some cookies. So that did happen right after the layoff, and I was able to get myself back home from there. They did pay to fly me back. Like they're not an awful company or anything like that. That did happen. But when I kind of was looking like, man, I feel like I've lost my purpose. I feel like I've lost who I am because I had wrapped up who I was inside that job. I had to really start from scratch. And I was applying to jobs. I was getting great interviews with great companies, and weird things were happening where I would make it through multiple stages, and then the hiring manager would get laid off. The HR person no longer had a job. They didn't have funding for a particular role. It was very weird at this time. And I'm like, your company should have money. Like, I'm using you every day. I'm Googling things all the time. What do you mean you don't have this role anymore? But during that time, let me come back to Costa Rica because that just makes sense. Just go to Costa Rica to figure out your life. A little eat, pray moment, pray, love moment. And I learned Spanish. It was great. But in those moments of trying to figure out who I was, there was a lot of rejections. There was a lot of coaching. There was a lot of people supporting me and uplifting me at that time. And there was a lot of time spent with God. And I had to really do this work of unlearning that that job wasn't who I was. Like I had to figure out what my values were. I had to go really deep into my purpose and understand what that was. And throughout that, one of the most prominent tools that came from it is that even though I experienced no from that layoff and no from all the jobs I was applying to and no from all these different relationships, it was my offer that was being rejected, not me personally.
Mm.
So, anyone who's listening, keep that in mind. Your offer is rejected. You aren't rejected. And when I was able to separate myself from that offer that I was putting on the line, it came super, I wouldn't say super easier. It came a lot easier to be able to navigate those no's because I had something to cling on to. I had something practical that I could say to myself that I could leverage in the face of rejection and then have that courage to put another offer on the line to learn from that no that I had so that eventually I could get to where I was meant to be.
Wow. I mean, there's so much there in your journey, and thank you for sharing that journey with us because I'm one of those who puts in I'm all in on the position, right? That used to be me. And that's great because I'm passionate about what I do. I take jobs that I'm passionate about, serving people in areas I'm passionate about, right? Which for me is education. But sometimes you get so wrapped up in the position if there were to be a layoff or a big pivot and I were no longer in that position, it creates a huge shift because my identity, how I use my time, how I think, how I live, how I dress, how I eat, all of it gets tied in some way to that position. And so doing that deep work, which I did when I had to step away for a little bit to be remote, um, that was a year of deep work because it was like, okay, but who am I? And what
Yes.
are all the things I love to do that I haven't had a chance to do? And how can I build a life that brings all those things together while I do the things that I might not love to do, but I still have to do because I'm a grown up.
Yes, I understand completely.
But yeah, so what are some of the tools? What are some of the things that can help us in these pivots? Because we keep talking about identity and purpose and knowing values. Your journey is evidence of how to do this process and some of those tools. Tell us. I mean, I might be going through another pivot in another year or so, so this is going to be very helpful.
Yeah. Well, I love this question. Thank you for asking it. I feel like I always come back to this idea of clarity. Like when we're clear about who we are, what our purpose is, what our values are, who we're meant to serve, that kind of creates this guardrail almost to be like, all right, if this is what I'm meant to be doing, if this is who I'm meant to be becoming, then I can check along the way, am I in alignment with that as I live my life full out? Something that I've recognized, especially as it relates to purpose, because I feel like that's the big one that I have a chance to speak about a lot and help people navigate a lot, is not everyone actually believes that they have a purpose. Some
Mm,
people actually get caught in the moment that they're like, this is just, I'm just here. I'm just like this body here in this moment. Like there's really no reason that I'm meant to be alive. And I feel like that's always the first step in terms of purpose of actually recognizing that you matter. Like you are here for a reason. There's something inside of you that you are meant to accomplish. Like you have been uniquely cultivated and created and designed to make a positive difference and impact on this world and serve certain people. So throughout my journey of extracting myself from the falsities that I was believing, I had to do that work too of understanding, okay, like I exist for a reason. So what makes me actually unique? Like what gifts do I have that are stored up inside me that I'm meant to leverage in service of other people? After that, it was a lot of work around, okay, I have these gifts, I have these experiences, I have this essence that's unique to me. What about these experiences I've had? So, looking through my life backwards, starting from the child version of myself that had so many things right, as well as like the struggles, the things that I had to overcome, the pain, the suffering, the things like rejection, the painful failures, looking at those and unpacking, okay, what did I learn from it? How did I grow from those things? And how can those experiences potentially help me to serve someone else? Made it super clear that honestly, even though I didn't know what my purpose was, I've been living it this whole entire time. Purpose leaves breadcrumbs. Like there's all these different moments that I was able to get experience and words and tools and resources that now have helped me to relate to the people who I feel most called to serve, which is who I call those multi-passionates. And I know that now I can empower them. I can help them to live, lead, and thrive full out, which is such a privilege. But it started with, okay, believing I have this purpose, recognizing those gifts, seeing those experiences, and then connecting that to those people that I'm meant to serve. And I've created this resource to help people to find, name, and live their purpose so that they can practically put into language all those different pieces so that when somebody asks, okay, what's your purpose? They're not floundering around trying to like say some Hamlet soliloquy or something. Like it's a nice compact sentence that they can hold on to, that they can share when life ends up changing. And this really connects too, because it helped me to realize that, all right, if I have this statement that highlights these gifts, these experiences, and nothing's been wasted on my journey, how can I live my purpose right now? And how I view purpose is we have this purpose, this statement, this thing that we can light this fire inside of us that keeps us going. But along the way, we have these assignments.
Mhm.
That's where those roles fit in. So your job, your being a parent, being a daughter, being all of those things that you are wearing, all these different hats and responsibilities, those are assignments along the way that you get to fulfill on the way to fulfilling your purpose. And I believe that separation just kind of unlocks so much for me because that's how I was able to realize, oh, I've been living my purpose all along, just in these different roles, these different moments, even in those moments that you mentioned that you didn't want to be there, those jobs that you hated, there was a purpose in it. There was an assignment in it that connects to that larger purpose. And you maybe had a chance to like help the people you were meant to serve in those experiences where you didn't actually want to be, is what I started to realize for myself. So now that just unlocks the door because I can utilize all these passions that I have, all these different things to fulfill my purpose. I can live life fully, travel, do all the things that I love to do while still fulfilling my purpose along the way. And it's such a like it's so exciting to get out of bed because you can do so many different things and still fulfill your purpose along the way. It's really great.
See, that's the energy I'm talking about. It's on the conversation of purpose. And you ended with exactly what I was thinking about. If you can hone in on your purpose statement, if you can see it, understand it, see it, embrace it, what a great motivator. So a lot of times I think some of us we're going through the motions, right? But we're missing something. There's a spark, or Spanish, there's a chispa missing. There's something missing, and sometimes we're not sure. Do I really want to try this? I'm just gonna stay in my job. I'm okay. That one looks it. But a lot of it, I think, is really that lack of clarity around your purpose.
Mhm.
Because if you're clear about your purpose, now this helps you make better decisions in terms of work, in terms of life, in terms of any decision, aligning more to your purpose. And it just gives you that little extra spark in the morning because you know your purpose and you're going to try to live within your purpose. And that brings that energy, that motivation. And I always find purpose and motivation go together. It really helps to have that purpose. You can tell I might need more coffee already. My
No, that's really resonating. All of it. And it's so ironic because the name of the framework that I called it is called IGNIS, which is Latin for fire. So yes, that spark is right there. And oh goodness, that connection between motivation and purpose is so it's so spot on because we will find ourselves in situations and roles and things that we have to do where we need just that little bit of like, how can this moment right now tie to the greater purpose that I'm trying to fulfill? I even think about Oh gosh, like I have a cat. He might come and join us a little bit later, but like even cleaning his litter box sometimes, like I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like doing this, but I know that like, how I serve my cat, that's going to help me to become the version of myself that I need to be to fulfill my purpose. And if I add my values into it, like one of my values is joy, if I add a little bit of joy in this task, oh my goodness, now I've made it something maybe not to look forward to, but at least it's something that's a little bit more positive to experience, that I can see the bigger picture of how it all connects and knows that in the long run, like somebody else is going to be impacted positively by this. It just keeps you going.
Yeah, yeah, very, very, very interesting. And so we've talked about um that unlinear slash linear path. We've talked about purpose. We've talked about having clarity in your purpose. We've talked about finding your purpose through reflection, looking at those assignments, looking at life experiences, and seeing those breadcrumbs to help you as a way to find that purpose, which will give you clarity. Okay, so let's say there's the cat. The cat's not part of the interview. So let's say that I did it. I reflected. I have my purpose statement. I can wear it on my shirt. I can say it out loud. Now what? Okay, I have a statement. Now what?
Yes. Oh, okay. So you have your statement. This is where the fun part really happens, but also probably the most challenging too. Like, yes, it took some work to figure it out, to be able to name it, but now you have to commit to that full out. So, how I like to see this is it kind of compounds on a daily basis. If you contribute 1% to fulfilling one of those assignments, you ultimately are going to fulfill your purpose over stages as well. When we have the clarity of what assignments are we in right in this moment, what hats am I wearing right now, if we can lay all of that out, then we can kind of see the areas and opportunities for us to attach an assignment to where we are. So I like to think about, say, well, I guess I can take myself. Like I know for myself, like I'm working to fulfill assignments around helping multiple passionate people to live, lead, and thrive full out, and utilizing my stories and my experiences of rejection, of navigating transition, as well as one of my gifts of exhortation. So, with that being my purpose, I know that there's assignments that are attached to that. Right now, I'm writing books, I'm writing on my blog, I'm also a speaker, as well as like creating content for people. I'm a daughter. I'm the only child, so there are times that I'm even like speaking live into my parents and encouraging them to live their lives full out. So every day there's an opportunity for me to pour into one of those assignments, to pour into one of those hats that I'm wearing, and that ultimately is going to fulfill my assignment. So it's really making the connection points of where am I right now and how can I fulfill in small steps. It doesn't have to be a whole grand thing. Like, I know I get it. Sometimes I have an idea and I'm like, I need to make it come to life by the end of the day. But it can be these small moments, these small intentional moments of pouring into those assignments ultimately is going to help us to fulfill our purpose over time. But it starts with that clarity of that statement, starts with the clarity of the assignments, and being willing to be creative about how we can use those gifts that we have, use who we are, use the tools and the resources and the experiences to help fulfill and pour into the people that we're meant to right here. And what I love about when we all do that, it ripples. So one person living their purpose right now, one person fulfilling an assignment today could lead to somebody else just being inspired to do the work of like, they had their purpose figured out. Maybe I can do mine too. If I go full out in this area, maybe somebody else will as well. And that's why I tell people a lot, like, look, we don't have to save the whole world because we can't. Like, look at Mother Teresa. She did some wonderful things for a lot of people, but she didn't hit everybody. She didn't. So, but we're still talking about her, still thinking about like the great things that she did. So, if you can just be that one person that served that one person today, you never know the ripple effects of what could happen from there. So, that's what keeps me going as well. It's like I can just reach one person, encourage them to see their purpose from a different way, see their experience from a different way. You never know what could happen.
Wow. I like that too because a lot of times we think about big wins
Hmm.
and feeling fulfilled and feeling successful and feeling like we're making a difference. And we forget that the little wins along the way build up to the big ones and they have an impact. And so for those of us who are always looking for the big win, this is a great advice. Saying, okay, just focus on this one thing. Try to achieve this one thing. If you can accomplish this one thing today, you did great. So I appreciate that.
Definitely. Thanks for sharing that.
Mm. Now, in doing this work, what are some of the things that could go wrong? What could I do wrong in this work and in trying to live my life with purpose and clarity?
Yes. Oh, so many things could go wrong, but that's the exciting part about it. So I have a practical framework for living full out, and it's called the C.L.E.A.R method. And we've talked a lot about like the purpose one, which is actually the C. It's an acronym: clarify your purpose, live your values, embody your identity, align with courage, and then ripple your impact. And that A piece of it, the align with courage, this is what we need to lean on. Oh goodness, my cat Kiwi, he's just all on the camera, y'all. But so that A around align with courage is the one that I find myself having to heavily lean on when things are going wrong. So of course I have my purpose, I have my clarity around that. So of course I know that even when things are going wrong, there's something that I'm going to gain from this. There's some kind of experience, some learning, some connection to somebody else that's going to help me to keep moving forward. So I know that's going to happen. I know that there is a large connection and hidden map behind everything that I might not see clearly. So I know that's there. But when it comes to doing things, especially when you have failed, when you've experienced rejection, when there's some fear around it, that's where a line of courage really has a chance to show up. I like to think about Nike's Just Do It.
Mhm.
And I know that there are moments in our lives where we face setbacks and it's more challenging to put ourselves out there, to put another offer on a line that could result in another no if we've already experienced a lot of rejection, for example. And what I've learned though is that when I continue to do things, when I continue to put things out there, it gets a little bit easier. So when I was navigating and reframing my mind around rejection, I was seeking no's on a daily basis. Like sometimes the micro no's, the micro rejections, I was just like, all right, let's ask 10 people to go out today. Let's see if people want to meet up for salsa or bachata. Let's call my mom while she's still at work. She might not answer. That might feel like a rejection. So I was really trying to build this muscle and I still do it. Like every day I'm sending multiple emails, putting offers on the line, and just doing it has helped me to build up this confidence because that's where confidence comes from. Like sometimes we have to take the step and get some feedback and to get a little bit of a win or maybe a setback. And that's where we can continue to build that confidence and that boldness over time. And I think that's such a beautiful thing with aligning with courage and how it makes such a difference. The other thing that I have to keep in mind too, and I feel like all of us should, is that we shouldn't be doing this alone. So I'm a person of faith, so I definitely have God with me, but I also have like a community, a support system too. Like that helps us navigate these sticky things like grief, like fear, like pain, like suffer, all of those things when we have people that we're going along the journey with. Even when it comes to rejection, sometimes I'll text some of my friends and be like, hey, I'm about to put a really big offer on the line. And having them just know, like, you did it anyway. Even if you get a no, like celebrating the fact that I did it. That is what we need to be able to navigate the things that don't go well because they're not always going to go perfectly. And of course, there's learning in that as well. But having that community around us, having the clarity and the muscle repetition built in of us already just doing it is what helps us navigate when things don't go as how we plan.
Wow. I love that you mentioned community because I think some of us, and I'm definitely guilty of that, when a challenge comes up, I'll isolate myself and focus on overcoming this challenge or surviving the challenge.
Yes.
And this idea that, in purpose, we think about purpose as being an individual thing. It's my purpose. So the idea that we can have purpose and clarity and try to live full out, I love that term, live full out with our purpose, but we still need community. The community still plays a role here. Um, it's that reminder we're not in it alone, and we don't all have a good sense of community. So being mindful of that and thinking about ways that we can build community, how to connect with people and try to start building our tribe, our community, our confidants, becomes very important. I love that you kept building your muscle too for rejection. So
Yeah.
you can reach out to your community and test things out, but you put yourself out there. You might get rejected 75% of the time at least, and you do it anyway to build that muscle.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And I think it also builds their muscles too, because now they're like, oh my goodness, she shared this rejection, this like horrible failure with me. Maybe I should do something similar. Let's be vulnerable together. Let's continue to put our offers out together. And that makes it so much easier to do. Even if we get that no, or ultimately a yes will come too.
Like I said, even if we get that note, but ultimately a yes will come too. We just have to keep trying. It's like the writers, as writers,
Yeah,
sometimes we put a lot of things out there. Not everything gets accepted for a magazine or gets published. Yep. Very interesting.
100%.
So you have a couple of cool frameworks, and you use the term full out, living your life full out in purpose. And you shared the clear method. And you were about to share another big tool, another big method that you have, another framework. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the clear method is the one that I utilize for living full out, and the IGNIS framework is the one that has helped individuals to find, name, and live their purpose, which is really great. And it goes through practical strategies and tools to really uncover, like, okay, what are my gifts? Who am I meant to be serving? Like, what have my experiences taught me, and what's the through line? So that you actually end up with a purpose statement formula. And there's some built-in formulas that I've provided, but also ones that you can kind of create and modify to really fit you, because that's what needs to resonate with you, because you're going to be keeping this purpose hopefully for the rest of your life and finding those assignments along the way to help you fulfill it. So those are some of the major frameworks that I've created. I do also have one for leaders if you find yourself in the corporate space. It's called Safe Feedback Method. And it is, oh goodness, it's been super helpful to help coach around this and help people to give feedback that is specific, that's actionable, that's focused on their growth and empathetic. And when people utilize this framework, this for giving feedback, it really aligns with courage, because a lot of people are a little bit afraid of giving feedback and afraid of making certain that they might miss the mark or somebody might not interpret what they're saying well. So this gives it in a way that is very practical and allows room for conversation, because that's how feedback should actually be. It should be a place for them to even kind of co-create, like, what are the expectations for it. And the feedback framework that I've created has been really awesome. I've spoke about it at conferences and coached about it, and I've heard great things about people combining that with gratitude and making it a little bit less scary for them to give the feedback that's necessary.
I like that. Very interesting. I like how also you create methods, frameworks. It's not just here's a list of 10 strategies. Here is a method to get you here. Here's a framework to get you here. I just learned about the fact that you work with leaders in this way as well. So that's an interesting method, the safe feedback method.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And I have a free resource for it if anybody wants to check it out and test it out. So definitely give it a go and let me know how it goes. I love hearing about um, people's experiences using it. It makes it a little bit less scary. But of course, you never know what they're going to respond with, because people, or of course they're expert in their lives, but when you frame it as a gift to help somebody grow, it makes all the difference.
Oh, nice. And for our listeners, the resources that Tanisha's referring to are in the description of this podcast episode. So you'll be able to copy the link and put in your favorite browser or click right on that description, depending on the platform you're using, and check those out. And definitely you'll have her information so you can reach out to her as well. Yeah. And thank you for sharing those resources with us.
Of course, thank you.
It's homework for me for this weekend. I need to do this work too.
Feel that. It's never ending.
But that's life, right? We're always looking at where can we do something a little bit better, something a little bit different. Maybe it's time for me to try this thing I've been thinking about. And that's life. We're always trying, growing, bringing in our other passions, learning through trial and error. So yeah. Yeah. It's the exciting part.
100%.
And if you have your purpose, it makes it even more exciting because then you're living and you're picking and choosing within that purpose, that
Yeah,
clarity.
exactly.
I love it. So, I'm curious as we're coming to an end, we've talked about so many different things. Is there anything else you want to share? Final strategies, words of advice, or final thoughts that we didn't get to discuss in today's interview?
What's coming up for me right now, and I continuously need to remind myself this too, is that we are exactly where we're meant to be. Like right in this moment, whatever our assignments are, whatever clarity or lack thereof clarity that we have is exactly where we are meant to be in this moment. And I know sometimes that's a little bit challenging to accept, especially for some of us that are growth minded and always thinking about like where we're becoming and what's that going to look like, what's next for us. But honestly, this present moment is so important. And if we skip over and think through just about where we're trying to be, or even if we're looking back in the past about like, oh goodness, all these different mistakes that I have, no, like we are right where we're meant to be. And if we weren't meant to be here, we wouldn't be. So that reminder consistently comes up for me because then I can recognize that all of these beautiful pieces of this past experiences, this past work of getting clear on my values and the purpose of my identity needed to happen so that I can become the next version of myself. So I'm really grateful for that reminder that comes up.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you so much for being on the show. I mean, we learned so much from this conversation. And I'm hoping our listeners are thinking, okay, what's my purpose statement? Do I need to make it clearer? Do I need to reflect and look at those breadcrumbs to figure this out so that I can live a more purposeful life? That this can be my road, my roadmap, or my guide, I should say, my guide in making decisions. So thank you for bringing all of those tools to the table for us today.
Of course. Thank you so much. It's been a privilege to share, and I encourage everyone to pour into that 1% today. Figure out how you can live full out today, whatever that looks like and feels like for you. That could be resting, that could be doing something, but live it full out. You deserve it.
Love that. Thank you so much. And thank you to our listeners for listening to the episode. Check out the description, get the resources, and keep doing the work. And thank you so much, Tanisha, once again for being part of Coffee and an Interview.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.